Today is Labor Day, right? Let's go ahead and hit that first. Oh, sorry, I forgot about that slide. So this was us laboring very hard on Tuesday. On Tuesday, us pastors get together and have some conversation. We do a devo, and then we go to lunch. And so Pastor Bob has a lot of VW bugs, and he brought one of these. And so we got to ride in this. And it was great because Pastor John got in, and he said, so it's great to have a VW bug that runs more reliably, right? And he said, no, they all kind of run about the same. He said, oh, because there was that small pause that thought maybe we're going to have to push our way back home. But we didn't. This is one of our favorite bugs to ride in. It's the convertible top, obviously, and so we got to drive down the road. I said we should be careful. All the Faith Chapel leadership should not die in one day. But we were fine. That bug got us where we needed to go. We had a nice lunch, and it was a good day. That was part of our labor. Part of our labor is relationship as pastors, and the way that we are set up at Faith Chapel, relationship is very, very, very important. Because there are not a lot of governing guidelines to the way we are set up. Our relationship matters, and so we spend that time together building that relationship on Tuesdays as often as we can. But Labor Day, let's go to that next slide. The very first Labor Day was actually September 5th, 1882 in New York City. It was not celebrated by the entire nation. This was the first one that had ever been done. The holiday is rooted in the late 19th century, and the labor activists pushed for a federal holiday to recognize that many of the contributions that workers have made to America's prosperity and well-being. Hit that next one. Now, we're not exactly sure. There's two McGuires who were credited with maybe getting this thing started, and so one of them said something along the lines of a general holiday for the laboring classes. That's what we need. A general holiday for the laboring classes to honor those who, I like the way he says this, from rude nature have delved and carved all the grandeur we behold. People don't talk like that anymore, right? They don't talk that way anymore, but I love the way that he said that. But interestingly enough, there was another by 1894, the entire nation joined this holiday. And it was announced by President Grover Cleveland that it would be the first Monday of every September to honor the American worker. Because your work matters. Your work matters. Go to that next one. Now, something that's interesting is that in 1908, the churches decided that they were going to join in on this Sunday prior to Labor Day, and they were going to talk about things that dealt with the American worker. The stresses, the things that normal workers deal with, they were going to kind of argue for some of these points that are listed up there. And there's a longer list. I just grabbed a couple of them. Equal rights and complete justice for all men in all stations. The right of some protections against hardships resulting from industrial change, right? When they decide that we don't need people to wait on you at the counter anymore because there's a tablet over here and all you got to do is push the buttons, order on the tablet, and we don't need to pay somebody to take your order anymore. Industrial change. I don't know if that's industrial or not, but it's change, technological change. The abolition of child labor, release from employment 1 day out of 7. Imagine churches arguing for that, right? Churches encouraging that. Churches talking about the issue of overwork. There's some really sad stories that you can read about people who were overworked and thrown away. Some awful, awful immigrant stories. I think it's called The Iron Jungle. It's an awful, awful story about how we treated immigrants in America and how we probably still do in certain areas. Suitable provision for the old age of the worker and those incapacitated by injury. All these things have kind of taken place in many, many ways over our country's history. But as many of these things have been fixed, we've also kind of forgotten a little bit of our responsibility to the American worker as the church. So today I want to talk a little bit about you, the American worker. The things that you do. I love talking about all the things that you do here at the church and all the things that you guys are involved in and all the ways you're serving the church. And that's amazing. Hit that next slide. And one more. Labor Sunday. This day stands for the united action of the churches in the field of the industrial life. What you guys do day in, day out is a fact of supreme importance to the history of America, and it should be to religion as well. Today I want to appreciate you because you all do so much. You do so much for the big stuff, for the small stuff. It may seem like a small thing, but how many of you ladies really appreciate that you can turn the light switch on when you walk in the bathroom here at GFC? Isn't that exciting? Our man in the hospital right now, he did that. He did that the other day. I thought I was going to have to run wiring from one side to the other. And him and Josh were looking at it the other day. They're like, there's a plate cover right here. I think, yeah, the wiring's already run. We have no idea why this hasn't been done already. And I was like, because I'm not that bright. I'm not that bright. Your work matters. Your work matters. But not just the work you do here. Before we moved over here at one point, I remember talking to you guys about being laborers. I reminded you, kind of like I talked about in the prayer, I reminded you of all the things that have been planted. All the things that have been watered. And I told you, guys, this is the harvest time. The harvest is plentiful. You're the workers. If you get tired, be praying for more workers. Because we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do. The harvest is here. Your work matters that you do here at GFC, but not just your work here matters. Your work where you work. That matters. Now, I'm going to just cover guys because I know the guys better and because we have a whole lot of people now, okay? So we're going to cover guys. But keep going. I got to Andy's house this week. Finally, took an invitation for me to get over there. But I got to Andy's house this week. Andy has a shop on the side of his house. Andy does laser printing. He does amazing artwork on guns with paint. Awesome stuff. He has all of this stuff. He's built on to the side of his garage, and he's got like state-of-the-art laser equipment in his garage. And he's really good at organizing things and setting up flow. So everything is super in its place. Chuck, you would love it. Yeah, super in its place. But not only does he use that for his business, but that was what he has done for years in the job that he worked before. And those skills are actually really needed by other companies. He may be getting another offer from another company who needs his help soon because they're a mess and they need what he has. Keep going. Jake and Reagan got married yesterday. Yeah, we love you, Jake and Reagan. Shout out to you guys. They are on their honeymoon. They're going to the zoo in Omaha because they love zoos. Jake loves zoos at least. I think Reagan at least tolerates them. Reagan works in the school system with kids who need to be taught how to grow up and be adults. Jake works with kids who didn't get taught how to grow up and be adults in the system. Or people who grew up and had some training but then made some really bad choices. He works with those people day in and day out. Keep going. Jason fixes problems, usually involving metal, like here, when he's not posing for silly pictures. And if you've watched his wife's profile, he's posed for a lot of silly pictures. He's not alone. I have one of Josh coming up eventually. Jason knows how to do metal, but he also knows how to do plumbing, electrical, construction. He knows how to build cannons. He's a problem solver, the company that he works for. They have a problem, they give it to Jason. He fixes it. He comes up with a plan, he executes it, he fixes it. He works for Boston on the side, and he fixes all kinds of things that Boston needs done because Boston's overloaded. He's working to support his family, to help his friends, all the time. Keep going. I am really going to run out of time. All right, so Bob works at the same place as Jason. He's worked there a really long time. He's worked so hard over the years that eventually he had the heart attack. But his boss loves him. His boss is watching him, making sure, hey, no. Don't overwork. Don't be doing that anymore. He's been there a long time. He can basically do whatever he wants because they know he's a good worker. He's solid. He's going to show up for work. He's going to do his job. Keep going. Steve is out there taking new discipline courses because child psychology is an important class when you're dealing with bus kids who've never actually had parents watch them. Just send them in the other room to play video games and watch TV. It's a difficult job. He's taking kids to games, in and out, all the time. He's stopping by to do things at the church. He's stopping by to help people. He builds stuff on the side for people, custom work. Keep going. I actually had separate pictures for you guys, and I don't know what happened to that. Did they not get put in there? Kyle and JT, they've been working long hours. Kyle's been in education. Kyle's done a lot of coaching. And right now, he's doing a lot of driving. He commutes 40 minutes one way right now to Emporia in order to do the things he needs to do to support his family. We talked about being salt, being in contact with the dirt. Kyle's very in contact with the dirt right now. JT has to commute to India sometimes to work with parts of his team. He's been overseeing a team for quite a while, and he has to work with different cultures. He has to get up at ridiculous hours of the morning to meet with some members of his team. He has been working to support his family. These are the things that these guys do. We are salt. I talked about that last week. What does salt do? We are that salt. We are helping to promote the growth of good things, and we're keeping down the things that shouldn't grow. But what happens is sometimes we compartmentalize our lives, and we're like, this is me at church, this is me at work, this is me with my friends. But that's not what salt does. Salt is salt everywhere that it goes. And we can't be this way here and that way there. Salt is salt. We don't want to lose our saltiness by contaminating with all the other things that come from all the places that we are. We want to affect everywhere we are with what we are. We're salt and light. In order to do our jobs, we have to be in contact with the dirt. When does that happen? Keep going. Walt did a lot of construction stuff. He did a lot of concrete stuff. He worked all the time. He made his trailer awesome. But not only his trailer, he did jobs and helped people all around Conestoga, donating his time and often donating stuff to do the jobs over and over, all the time. He did that for years. Keep going. Oh, we got Steve. Steve is awesome. Steve is helpful. When he's around, he's always looking for what to do. What can you do next? He works on the side. He builds stuff. He's into construction. But he and his wife, Mandy, are both in the armed forces. Well, Mandy's not anymore, but they were both in the armed forces as actual helicopter mechanics for the largest helicopters that we use in the Army. He told me unofficially how many people they've crammed onto one of those helicopters, and I'm not going to say it on camera. They've been serving. He's been deployed. When we first met them, he was deployed for 14 months. We didn't even get to see him. But they've been serving. They've been working. They've been serving our country. And when he's gone, their family continues to go. And they're raising those little balls of sunshine that bounce through our doors and give everyone hugs and make everyone feel loved on Sunday mornings. That matters. Keep going. Wyatt's been doing a lot of different stuff. But I love talking to Wyatt because he talks about his job like it matters. And when he's there, his boss knows that he's going to do his job. He's going to do it well. I love that his boss values who he is, because as Christians, we ought to be the best employees that you hire. Keep going. Wyatt is getting started with a brand new job. Wyatt's tried a lot of different things, trying to figure out what he wants to do and where he fits. But in the middle of all that, we all remember we have to do work in order to support our family. We have to do some kind of job till we figure out what we fit. And he's had a lot of different things trying to figure out, where do I fit? But in the middle of all that, he's worked. He's worked. He's gone so far as to take a summer job mowing with the city, even though he has terrible allergies, because he worked. He needed work, and he did the work. Keep going. Jeff has done a lot of things in his life. I love talking to him because you never know the things that he has learned or experienced. He's done so many different things. It's amazing to listen to the experience that he has. He told me he replaced the whole front end on his truck one time, and I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it was no big deal. I'm like, you're not a mechanic? He's like, well, not now. It's amazing the different things that you learn about people over time. Keep going. Charles, he's been supporting his family with his tech knowledge, but he doesn't just have technical skills. He helps people with their cars and mechanically stuff all the time. He's always doing something for somebody. He never has a free moment, really. He never has a free weekend. Every time I talk to him, he's out doing something. Because we're light. That's what we are. We're salt and we're light, and where we go, the presence of God should go with us. It should be there. When we are working, the presence of God should be reflected in us. Don't forget, we're supposed to be different from the world. Not only by the fact that you come to church, but because when you leave church, you go to work and you have character. You have integrity. You have morals that won't allow you to compromise. Play this. Ooh, you know what? We don't have time to play this clip. Keep going. There's a clip in there from Courageous, and it's great. But, yeah, we're not going there. So, Chuck's an architect. He's been working with architects and with people who are not always super, shall we say, not everybody has integrity, right? Not everybody has integrity. Some of the contractors, some of the people that he's had to work with, he has to reflect something different than what they are. Keep going. These guys have worked in the ministry full-time for years and years and years. They have done things. That's Glenn on the right. It's Carl on the left, if you haven't been to second service lately. They've been doing stuff for years. They've been serving God. They've been teaching other people how to go out into their work and be a light. Keep going. There's Josh Shaw. There's Josh. Josh does a lot of professional modeling for Future Farmers of America. As well as an assortment of skills in flooring, construction, firefighting, CERT team leading, Gaga ball construction, and epoxy floors. We considered putting an epoxy floor in the Gaga ball pit, but decided against it. Josh does a lot of things. But where he goes, people know who he is. They know what kind of work that he does. As a matter of fact, it runs in the family. Shaw Businesses, right? They made their own business cards because he's passed this tradition on to Maximus. Maximus is doing all kinds of work. And if you want a list, you can check out his website because it's too long to list all the things that he does. Lawn mowing, and now he's making his own leather things. So he made this. He's made belts. He's done concrete cleaning and power washing. He does all kinds of stuff because work matters. The work you do, not just in this building, but the work and the places that you go outside of this building matter. Keep going. Cameron, he doesn't work. He just gets on the boat. Cameron has served our country at nuclear facilities, guarding them around the country. He has training. He knows how to handle himself. He's done trucking for several different companies over the last several years, taking care of his family. Because we have to work. God created us to work. That's what we do. And it's not that we spend all of our time in this building, but we come to this building to sharpen each other so that we can go out into the world and be lights that make a difference. We can be salt that makes a difference. Keep going. You spend more of your life working than doing any other one thing. Just think about that. You do. You spend more of your time working than you do doing any other one thing. Your work matters. Your work matters to God. How you work matters to God. This is what I want you to remember today. This Labor Sunday, it's not just about what you do here, but it's how you live there that makes you salt and light. Stand with me this morning. God, I just want to thank you for the laborers that we have. God, I pray, actually I need to reset the alarm on my phone so that I pray every day for the more laborers. But God, when I pray for those laborers, I'm thinking about your kingdom laborers, and I don't often remember to think that those laborers are laboring every day in the fields that matter to you, because they are in fields around people and in circles who will never walk through the doors of this church, but who will still be impacted by the salt and light in their lives. So God, I thank you for their labor. I thank you for their commitment to not just be godly in this building, but to be godly in every aspect of their lives, to be salt and to be light when they go to work, because that is a huge majority of who they are. God, if there's anybody in this room who is feeling convicted right now about not being salt and light, that they need to be at their work, I just ask that you would challenge them. Maybe they're not what they need to be right now, but you're saying you can be, and I will help you be salt and light where you are, because your work matters to me. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Tripped over the table. If you're online with us, join us for the next service. You can hear the second half of that sermon. And if you are in the building, say hi to the couple of people who are walking in the front door and the couple of people who are walking out. And we thank you for being here this morning.